When people talk about the cartoons that define their childhood, they usually go for Disney, Nickelodeon, or Cartoon Network, or whatever networks that air anime in the old days. Don't get me wrong, there are cartoons that define my childhood from those two, particularly from Nickelodeon. I grew up with Nick a lot. I also grew up with Tintin's animated series. It's one of my favorite cartoons of all time. But there is one bootleg cartoon made off of some low-budget studio company in Indonesia that I freaking loved to watch as a kid. I knew it was garbage, I knew it was low budget and not exceptionally made, but even then, I still kind of enjoyed it. The cartoon in question is based on an Indonesian folklore, and believe me when I say that we people in the past have some really wild imaginations. Why are we talking about the story of a romantic relationship between a mother and son? How can the conception between a human and a dog produce a normal human kid? Did that guy actually marry a fish? Am I reading a folklore story or a doujin off of some 18+ website? Why do I have to read this story in front of everyone at school? And there are loads more bizarre Indonesian folklore stories, but covering all of them in one video is gonna require a lot of you people to have a barf bag ready. The story that we're gonna cover today is Timun Mas. It's the story of a girl who was born out of a golden cucumber given by a giant man. That sounds like euphemism, but it's not. The girl is literally born out of a golden cucumber given by a giant man. Two babies? Get the hell out of here. We got golden cucumbers to raise our future generations. But you know what people do with folklores and fairy tales? Profit off of them? I mean, it works so well for the Disney Corporation, why can't it work for our own folklores and fairy tales? Enter Emperor Entertainment. I have no idea about this production company, but you can totally know what they're working on because they have a YouTube channel. No, I'm not kidding, they have a YouTube channel, and they put pretty much all of their works in there for people to enjoy. And yes, Timun Mas is in there alongside its sequels, which I've never seen in my life, but now I can. This cartoon is distributed on discs around the country, and I only got the first half of it for most of my childhood until the latter years where I did get the second half of it. The film is less than an hour long, so that's some comfort at least, but it does look like it got ripped off of a bad CD copy, and not even image upscalers like Waifu2X extension GUI can save it. If you want a full story of the folklore, there's a YouTube video with English subtitles with animations down below. Here's the folklore in a cucumber. I mean, nutshell. Once upon a time, there was a mother who is desperate for a child. The mother stumbles upon a giant who can grant her wish. He did by providing her a child with his giant golden cucumber, with an actual golden cucumber. However, once the child turned into a teenager, the giant will eat her. The mother accepted the deal, and sure enough, she turned to a teenager. She is later given trinkets by some grandpa Ex Machina to deal with the giant. 3 of these trinkets slowed it down, while 1 of them killed it for good. She returned back to her home, and they lived happily ever after. And there you go, kids. The moral of the story is, don't make deals with a freaking green giant? I honestly don't know what the moral of the story is. If the moral message is that good will triumph over evil, the story also says that if you make a deal, make sure that you're the only person who benefits from it, which doesn't sound very good to me. In fact, that's what villains typically do. I mean, yes, the other party wants you dead, but you're the one who made the deal in the first place. Not to mention, making a deal with the giant in and of itself is a bad action to do, because you can also unleash the giant to innocent people who are looking for your daughter to be eaten, alongside many other people along the way. Funnily enough, the moral message of the story is the question that's being asked on the educational video with the animations. This, ladies and gentlemen, is why I always failed Indonesian and why the educational system is garbage. The moral message of the story is A, always try your best until you succeed, which doesn't apply to the mother because she made a deal with the devil, and doesn't really apply to Timun Mas because she got Grandpa Ex Machina to save her. B, a child should be dutiful to their parents. While it is a generally good advice, that's not what the story is trying to convey. In Malin Kundang, yes, that's the story of a guy who was really poor and got rich, but he disavowed his poor mother, which caused him to get cursed into a stone, which you can actually see in real life. I'm starting to imagine the modern version of Malin Kundang disowning his mother because she doesn't have as many TikTok followers. C, a mother must keep their child's safety, a message so obvious that the kind of parents who don't do it are terrible people anyways. And here's my favorite option. D, a promise that's being said should be kept. That's right, Mom, a deal is a deal. Don't cop out on it and stop teaching children to reap the benefits for yourself. The next question is even funnier. Based on the previous story, Mbok Sarni, the mother, or at least in this version, betrays her promise to the giant. She doesn't want to give the child from the golden cucumber for the giant to eat. The question asks, what other event that is similar to that? The correct answer is C. You borrowed your friend's book, but refused to return it. You notice how the mother's actions, when applied to the real world, turns you into an asshole? So how did the film adapt this particularly messed up story? Well, the film begins with a title screen with the most glorious freaking music. Damn, film, chill with the orchestra. It's a low-budget straight-to-CD film, not a cinematic epic. And yes, the film actually shows the box cover of the CD in the actual film itself, so I guess they have to advertise the film more and also spoil how the big giant will look. Wait a second, the central characters of this story are Timun Mas, her parents, usually the mother, the grandpa Ex Machina, and the freaking giant, so who are these four other characters? Well, they are the comic reliefs of this entire freaking show, and they're not just discounted, they're in a freaking clearance sale. You got discount Winnie the Pinky and the Pink Brain, who has a high-pitched voice of undefined gender, so I'm just gonna assume. You got discount Curious George, and finally, you got discount Tom. These four characters are not really that necessary to the plot, but they provide some good laughs for the kids, so screw it, just throw them in anyway. The proper opening begins, and I'm not gonna lie, this music's pretty nice. It sounds like the town exploration music of a cheerful JRPG. I can dig it. Or at least until they abruptly cut the music off and break the flow. I'm gonna play a metronome just as a reference. Seriously, that got on my nerves every single time I boot up the disc. I know that there are some musics that deliberately break the flow like that, but if you say that this is a deliberate musical decision, it doesn't feel like it. And this is where we are introduced with our protagonist Timun Mas and her sidekick comic relief character Chameng. I'm gonna refer to him as the cat from now on, or Discount Tom. Oh yes, she's already grown up in this particular version. Aw, look at her being cheerful and laughing and running and all of that. It would be a shame if something bad happened to her. What she's doing here is having a bit of a race with the cat. Did I mention that Timun Mas is quite the gymnast tomboy GF?
Sudah dong! Capek nih!
Anyway, the cat is really tired of running around with Timun all day, but he went a little bit overboard. Nah, that'd be too dark. Timun Mas caught him all the way because, of course, he did.
Baiklah, Cemeng. Sekarang, ayo kita lanjutkan permainan ini. Ayo, tidak takut.
Mati aku. Timun! Tunggu! Cemeng sudah tidak kuat lagi nih.
Here's a way for the film to establish that Timun is a really cheerful and really happy girl, at the expense of her friend's exhaustion, but at least it works.
Timun, aku mohon.
Masa begitu saja kau sudah capek, Meng?
Okay, Timun, we get it. You're athletic as hell. The cat is hungry for some food, so Timun grabs some apple on a tree. But then, something pops up to ruin their day.
Terimalah.
Makasih ya.
Oh wow, that is Discount Curious George. Timun tries to chase the monkey around, who is revealed to be named Chemong, who I'm going to refer to as the monkey. You might notice how Timun wears some really thick red lipstick, but then this frame doesn't have her with that. I know that it's distant details and everything like that, but her thick red lipstick is pretty freaking noticeable, guys. The least you can do is draw it thicker there. And speaking of animation inconsistency, this frame over here cuts to this frame. No, really, I didn't cut it there. That's how the film is cut. He was literally right on her grasp, but suddenly she's standing on some trees and he's somewhere on the other side. This particular frame has Timun looking at the ground, even though the monkey has jumped off. It's these kinds of things that would make anyone go crazy. But then again, it's 90s low-budget Indonesian animation, so they're doing their best.
Rasanya Cemong sudah jenuh dikejar-kejar terus.
Barely, you climb a couple of trees. Also, this animation doesn't know a thing or two about shadows, so they just don't have them in the characters. Timun Mas outsmarted the monkey by proving that she's accurate in throwing things. She threw a stone at the monkey, and he thought she missed, but...
Boom! Headshot! Boom! Headshot! Boom! Headshot!
The monkey decides to prove that he's good at throwing things too, but he proceeds to throw the apple to her instead. Timun splits the apple in half, giving it to both the cat and the monkey, which means that they're now friends. Aww. Then she pulled off something really stupid.
Sekarang bersiaplah untuk bermain denganku.
Aw, that must have hurt.
Cemeng, diam. Dia kan lagi sakit. Kok malah tertawa?
Lady, you're the one who slams him into the ground that way. Maybe she's being sarcastic, but the tone doesn't indicate that. Meanwhile, in another place, we encounter our two other comic relief characters, Chindil and Chontong, or as I like to call them, Winnie the Pinky and the Pink Brain.
Tong, lihat apaan tuh?
Yeah, that's the extent of our comedy, ladies and gentlemen. But hey, let's suddenly switch into drama.
Saatnya segera tiba. Tidak bisa aku terima kenyataan ini. Kenapa kau yang harus menjadi korban? Duh Gusti, aku sungguh menyesal atas perbuatan yang telah kulakukan dulu.
Yeah, that's quite the tonal shift. This character over here is Timun Mas's mother. She feels regret over the thing that she did a long time ago, and she cannot accept the reality that Timun has to be the victim. A victim of what? What did she do a long time ago? Ooh, lots of intrigue, but let's forget about all that. Let's bring the comic reliefs back.
Cindia, Contong, mengapa kalian bermain-main terus?
She does sound like a mom, alright. God forbid that these two are playing together.
Lebih baik kalian susul kakakmu Timun Mas. Ibu mengkhawatirkannya. Seharusnya dia sudah pulang.
Hah, lihat Tong, sebegitu sayangnya ibu sama anak cengeng itu. Kenapa sih ibu selalu mengganggu keasikan kami? Dia kan sudah gede, ngapain dikhawatirin? Sudahlah, memang ibu sudah tidak punya rasa sayang sedikit pun sama kami.
Whoa, chill down with the freaking rant there, Pink Brain. Yeah, I just realized that Pink Brain is quite the brutal character. It's as if he's written for the purpose of criticizing how ridiculous this entire story is. What's even more puzzling is that he followed it with this.
Ngapain sih pakai nyusul-nyusul segala? Lebih baik kita main di luar saja. Lagian sudah jenuh main di dalam terus. Persetan dengan bocah kebayu itu.
Whoa, that's some swearing there. God damn. This is a kids movie, guys. Tone it down a little bit, lest you want to see brats talking like sailors. Back to Timun and the gang, they all gathered some woods and raced back home. Whoever gets back home wins a prize from Timun, apparently. As Timun and the gang are going back home, the two stooges are playing a swing. Cue slapstick comic relief. I'll never get tired of that. More animation screw-ups appear. Check this out. It's very obvious that these frames are from the early stages of the drafts because the outline is not as thick as the characters. It's glaringly noticeable. And speaking of glaringly noticeable...
Ingat ya, nanti kalau habis mendorong, kamu langsung berbalik. Ingat!
Baik, bos.
What the hell is that abomination? They're not even the same freaking color. It's so glaringly obvious that every single time I saw this as a kid, I jumped out of my seat. I mean, did someone actually watch this before they put these on the shelves? I mean, come on, y'all. Timun Mas finally went back home. The mother says that she is incredibly worried of her. Timun notices that her mother worries too much, and the level of her concern has multiplied to the point where even Timun feels uncomfortable by it, but her mother denies it, and she keeps on denying it constantly. We've been through this cliche many times. I lied to protect you, etc., etc. Timun didn't buy it, but her mother quickly shifts the topic.
Pasti deh, ibu menyimpan sesuatu rahasia. Soalnya nggak seperti biasanya sih, Bu.
Enggak, sudahlah. Banyak sekali kayu bakar yang kamu dapatkan kali ini, Timun.
Notice how the mother's mouths don't move. Yeah, that's another hiccup. This is starting to be a game of find the animation hiccups, but wait a second. Where are the two comic relief characters?
Itu dia. Mereka datang, Bu, lihat. Kasihan mereka.
Okay, I do love myself some athletic tomboy girlfriend, but she's really exhausting them. Also, check out the bottom left corner. I mean, goddamn Tom, he's phasing in and out. My god, he's struggling. Look at that. That's actually from the film, by the way. I didn't edit it for comedic effect. The cat just phased in and out of the frame like that. Also, this frame over here is not centered. So much unnecessary background stuff being showed when the central characters are the ones who should have gotten the spotlight. Meanwhile, the two other comic relief characters do comic relief stuff. That is until Pink Brain schemes an evil plan where just a matter of time, Timun Mas will be long gone and they will no longer have any more competition on who gets to have the most love. I think you have some really serious mommy issues, Pink Brain. The mother cries on Timun's bedroom, rambling about the upcoming future.
Sebentar lagi kamu akan pergi meninggalkan ibu. Ini kesalahan ibu, Ndok.
Music? Music? What's with the sudden cut? Also, the mother's design is mostly consistent except for one point. At most points, she has the Tintin-like eyes, but in this particular instance, her sclera, as in the white parts in her eyes, are more prominent. Not to mention, right after that scene, it immediately cuts with her on the other side of the screen. It just doesn't flow very well in terms of cinematography. The film establishes a lot of intrigue and mystery and vagueness that make us to wonder what makes her to cry so much, and how is that related to the giant in the freaking cover? Seriously, you ruined the mystery when you spoil all that. Not to mention, Timun has this in her inner monologue.
Aku jadi bingung. Masa aku harus meninggalkan ibu seperti yang dikatakan ibu tadi? Aku nggak ngerti. Dan ibu akan melawan bila saja ibu punya sesuatu kekuatan yang besar. Melawan siapa? Dan untuk apa?
But there's no point in which the mother ever says that. I guess this film got botched and cut off by the executives to the point where plot-crucial dialogues are missing too. Timun decides to ask herself what the ever-living crap her mother meant when she said all that, and Pink Brain eavesdrop into the conversation. It doesn't end very well.
Kau tahu dari mana?
Dari ibu. Ibu kan tidak pernah berbohong. Kamu memang akan meninggalkan kita semua di sini dan itu sangat menyedihkan, benar-benar menyedihkan. Tapi apa daya kami, tidak mungkin melawan kekuatan besar itu. Aku turut bersedih atas nasib buruk yang bakal menimpamu. Baiklah Timun, kukatakan sekali lagi, aku sangat tidak menyukaimu. Benar.
Yeah, it's a butt monkey slapstick moment for Pink Brain. One moment leads to another, misunderstanding happens between Discount Tom and George. I want you to notice the pillows that Discount Tom and George carry. One scene, it's bright orange. The next scene, boom, dark red. It's as if they actually fight and it gets real bloody and the pillow just absorbs all the blood. And now it's dark orange. Consistency? What's that?
Benar begitu kan, Tok?
Fun fact, I said this a lot when I was a kid, to my parents' annoyance. Damn, film, this is some really nice JRPG-esque music you got. It would be a shame if you abruptly fade this to— oh, come on! The mixing on this film is awful, like, wow, it's terrible. Right after that scene, the characters are talking with each other. Scene pans into a nice panorama, and then the music fades in completely out of nowhere, and then fades back out. The music is like, oh wait, here's some more tunes for you. Okay, that's it, gotta go. This is where the backstory comes in. It is revealed that Timun's mother has been longing for a child but just couldn't bear one even after her husband died. That's where she felt so lonely at her home. To quench her loneliness, she befriended and adopted the free animal comic relief characters, which would logically make them to be older than Timun, and yet the film always referred to her as an older sibling to the three comic relief characters, because it's visually easier to comprehend for the kids. This is where it's revealed that Pink Brain is the one animal that she loves a lot. But even with the free talking animals, she still doesn't consider them her children, and she still feels very lonely. You goddamn entitled broad! These animals are sentient, lady. They can talk to you. They can even outwit the lifespan of their origin species. Timun, for the record, is 17 years old, which would logically make them more than 17 years old. The lifespan of a cat? 16 years old at most. This Count Tom should have been on a grave, and yet here it is. The addition of the comic relief characters ruined the overall plot of the folklore. In the original Folklore, these characters don't exist, and they shouldn't exist. It emphasizes the fact that the mother has literally no one else to accompany her. Some variations of the story even have the husband to still be alive, but they just couldn't bear a child. That makes them more sympathetic in making the deal with the giant later on. She still makes a deal with the devil, but at least I get why she did it. In this version, she already has 3 sentient animals that can talk and can outwit their average species' lifespan, and she still feels lonely. Will Smith can live with only his dog, and they can't even talk to each other. This only makes her to feel like a selfish, entitled broad. Considering how the animal characters are about as sentient as any other human beings, not considering them as real children because they're on a different species is such a garbage thing to do, and pretty bigoted if you ask me. Whatever the case may be, she wants a child, so what did she do to get it? Well, obviously, she made a deal with the devil. It's understandable in the original Folklore to emphasize her loneliness and desperation. She pretty much has nothing to lose. But in this version, she doesn't care. She just storms into the cave. If you didn't survive this whole ordeal, who's gonna take care of the free children when you're gone? Not to mention, by doing this selfish thing, you just unleash this monstrosity to everyone, including to innocent people who just want to live in peace. These innocent people's deaths are in your hands, woman. Putting all that aside, I love how the thunder is colored red. I mean, that's just metal. And here's where we get into another animation screw up, or more accurately, an insane tonal shift. The mother wanders inside the cave among the darkness, and this happens. That's not funny, but the animation treats it as if it's funny. Oh wow, just wandering around the cave and oh no, I saw a monster, be right back, pass out. She looks terrified by the sight of the giant, but the giant is colored very brightly green. This should have been shaded darker to emphasize the mystery, but nope, it's just bright green. It's very oddly comical and doesn't fit with the overall intrigue and mystery. Anyway, the story is, as you predicted, the mother honored her wish in wanting a child, the giant made a trade offer, and the trade offer is to— oh wait, I spoke too soon. There was an old man in the story.
Kakek, kenapa kek? Kenapa?
Why do you make him feel like that? That's just dumb. She helped the old man, but the old man disappeared. The old man in this particular instance is the grandpa Ex Machina. That's where Pink Brain comes in and gives in the hard truth.
Timun, kasihan kamu. Kamu benar-benar nggak mengetahui nasib buruk yang bakal menimpamu. Sungguh benar-benar menyedihkan.
I freaking love this character. He's so brutal.
Cindil, aku sama sekali tidak menganggap bualanmu itu.
Oke, itu terserah kamu. Yang jelas, raksasa itu sungguh besar dan menyeramkan. Ia akan melahapmu sebagai santapan yang lezat. Tapi ikhlaskanlah, sebab memang itulah syarat perjanjian yang disetujui ibu kita dulu.
This guy is relentless, man. I'm just amazed at how evil he is. And he actually has a reason in being jealous of her. How can he be the most compelling character? Anyway, Timon finds Grandpa Ex Machina again and reveals that he dropped a bunch of sermons and trinkets at her mother's. Timon goes back to her mother's place and she seems rather happy. This is where her mother tells the truth about the giant. And this is where this really serious moment turns into a slapstick humor. Like, what the hell just happened? Also, there's some serious scaling issue between this kid and the people running around. I mean, they're practically freaking giants. And then it leads into one of my favorite moments in this entire freaking thing.
Hingga akhirnya hati ibu jadi
What the hell was that? I can't even give subtitles to what she was saying. The mixing was so garbage. I don't know what came in the heads of the animators or the editors who make this. Gentlemen, how do you accentuate how powerful this green giant is? Oh, I know, by having a picture of a dark mountain go twirly twirly, like the whole cartoon got invaded by Uzumaki's spiral curse. Except instead of making a genuinely unnerving atmosphere, it just turns the dark mountain into a badly mixed coffee. It turns out that Grandpa Ex Machina gave Timun Mas a couple of trinkets that allow her to fight against the giant. Wow, the solution of this entire problem is given to her by some old man that she just so happened to help at one time. Whoa, calm down, film, calm down. This is a kid's film and she's only 17. And this is where we get into the epic fight. Timun Mas versus the big green giant. Well, technically Timun Mas and her friends versus the big giant. Who will win? Who will lose? We shall see. And yeah, the green giant looks like a giant watermelon. Also, what's with this tune? This sounds like a really early sample of a Falcom soundtrack on MIDI. So Timun Mas ran away as fast as she can, but it turns out that the trinkets have been swapped by the evil rascals. The giant has arrived to her residence and one sight got everyone to immediately pass out, and the giant doesn't look that scary. In fact, he looks kind of silly. In fact, the giant might have killed the mother in the silliest way.
Pura-pura tidur. Hey, bangun!
I just love the way he handles the mother. It's supposed to be dramatic, especially considering how serious the mother's character has been, but the way she's either dead or passed out and the way the giant just carry her around is just really silly. Timun runs as fast as she can, using all manner of gymnastics, whereas the house residents got thrown left and right.
Hey, you! Hey, you!
Yeah, the giant just said, hey you. That's not the only gratuitous English in this side of the story. The monkey gets the swap trinkets and go after Timon to give it back to her. The giant still carries the mother like it's a freaking toy. I mean, look at her, she's freaking dead. Pink Brain and Winnie the Pinky then offer a deal with the giant to find Timon. After loads and loads of running, Timon decides that the best course of action is to sleep in some tree. Yep, she's dead, alright. Of course, the giant eventually found her. He gave chase to her for a bit, she got stuck in a cliff, and threw her trinket, only to find out that they're not the real trinket. Despite the fact that the two bad comic reliefs sold her ass off into the giant, Timon still had the decency to save them. Aw, what a pure, naive heart.
Timun, where are you? Where are you, Timun?
Timon emas, are ayo.
Yep, another gratuitous English. Timon fell into a ditch, the giant caught up to the gang, and the evil comic reliefs have a heel face swap and decide to trick the giant to go somewhere else. The monkey finally found Timon and threw the real trinkets. The trinkets contain the ultimate weapons that will destroy the giant once and for all. Or at least you'd think. The first trinket grows spiked trees really fast and straight up uppercuts the freaking giant. As the giant got wrecked by the trees, the gang ran as fast as they could. I don't know why this feels like a new meme in the making. And yes, the trees somehow change color. The giant tries to get past through the trees by bandaging his hands. He's surprisingly clever that way. The giant fell off a cliff into a river or a patch of water. Apparently once he fell, he straight up drained the entire thing and left quite the cartoonish mark. Timon threw another trinket at him, which is one that generates loads and loads of water in hopes of sinking the goddamn thing, but it didn't work. The third trinket are just overground vines that attempt to tie the giant, so it's the first one except much worse, and it barely stopped him. The chase continued into a swamp area where Timon had to get through a patch of water, but a crocodile is also looking for them. The crocodile attempted to get to Timon, but he was terrified by the sight of the giant. I love that crocodile. His reactions are hilarious, and he'll return in just a bit. Timon tries her best to run from the giant, and this piece of animation plays. I mean, come on, she's literally within your grasp. Oh, and notice how her animation just stopped momentarily when the giant tries to grasp her, but the screen kept on moving. This is one of the best parts of the film, and I'm just gonna show it in full.
Ya, kena kamu. Akhirnya aku dapatkan juga kamu. Ku dengar suara rintihanmu. Cup cup.
No, not me.
Buaya gila. Buaya gila.
I love it so much. It's so ridiculous. I don't know why I find the croc so funny. I think it's because his voice. Just hear when he got thrown out. It sounds like he has accepted his fate.
Buaya gila. Buaya gila.
Not to mention, that gratuitous English makes it so much better.
No, not me.
Timon must through the final trinket, which is a lot more useful.
Ini senjata pamungkasmu, ha?
I love that croc, but that's not the real trinket. The real trinket is a gummy quicksand mud thingy. Timon swings right into his face and kicked it real good to sink him right into the depths of the ocean. Or the patch of water, or the mud, or whatever. And that's the end of the film. Or is it? Yep, it ends in a freaking cliffhanger. You know, I sort of remember there being a sequel to this, and lo and behold, there are sequels. 2 of them, in fact. The first sequel was released in 2001. Trust me when I say that you are not prepared for this. Look at that. Why is her face in a corner? Why is she brunette now? Why is the cat so freaking fat? Oh god, what happened to the monkey? She has a love interest now? The second sequel is called Timon Mas Return of Buto Ijo. This one has a framing device with 2 kids reading a story from an entirely different show. But the content of the story is pretty much a continuation of the first one. This sequel overrides the other one, and thank god for that. The animation on this one is so much better than the other sequel. It's more consistent, more refined, the shading is much better, but it still looks really cheap. In fact, Timon's face reminds me of the villain from Care Bears 2 if he tried to transition but didn't attempt to pass. In this one, they really don't care about making it immersive to the actual folklore. The characters are playing basketball, the giant is punching a giant punching bag, and they're all wearing sports shirts, including the giant. This one confirms that the mother is alive, so the goddamn hag can make another another stupid deal in the future. I love how this one embraces the fact that the giant looks silly and no one is scared of it anymore. But in order to prove that the giant is scary, he has to wear masks off of old horror movies. Okay, so here's another installment of them duking it out again, but this is where things get overkill. They bring in guns, grenades, and they also bring in tanks. No, I am not kidding. They bring in tanks. Timon stupidly enough grabbed a spear instead of a gun like her other animal companions, but the spear can summon lightning, so that's okay, I guess. She also drank something that turned her Super Saiyan mode to the point where she can actually go toe-to-toe with the goddamn thing. No, I am not kidding. I can't even believe that this is a freaking franchise, but there you go, guys. Look, I bash the original cartoon a lot, but if I have to be honest with you, it still have a place in my memory. It's one of those things that I don't really care if it sucks. I have fond memories of it. My parents have memories of taking care of me with it. No matter how bad the animations are, or how unfaithful the original Folklore is, or how much comic relief characters they add for cheap comedy, I still enjoyed it. And that's all for the video today. If you like it, you can go ahead and click the like button and subscribe for more. If you wish, you can support me through the links down below. And thanks for watching.